Hey, Steve. We're at bingo here. Hey, Doctor. We're gonna go.
Overnight, 5 hours of legislative business.
Yeah. What happened? Were you gonna be here? Help? Well,
That's why you don't put out your schedule too early.
It's about
we have a house reading club. We have a house spelling club. House math club.
So I'm not, seriously, that was the least we. Well, I mean, I guess we did, it didn't make sense that they picked it. Very much. That's why I got it. They had to go back to the past.
You're gonna ask questions about that.
Yeah, but then that didn't leave an audience. That wasn't
2 minutes.
the usual zany stuff.
Okay then?
well, I guess.
Well, Pelosi is left by then.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Let me start by saying that I'm proud of what we've accomplished in Congress so far this year. We've achieved the first real entitlement reform in nearly 2 decades, which will save taxpayers some $2.9 trillion over the long term. We passed the first 10-year House-Senate balanced budget plan since 2001, and we've enacted new tools to fight human trafficking, new resources to improve veterans' care, and a plan to advance free trade and promote more American jobs. I'm also proud of what we've accomplished as a Republican majority. We've cut spending by more than $2.1 trillion, the most significant spending reductions in modern history, and more than what we saw under the Reagan and O'Neill arrangement back in the 80s. We protected 99% of Americans from a permanent increase in our taxes. We've enacted 3 pro-growth free trade agreements. We've enacted job training reform, student loan reform, VA reform, Medicare reform, all over just the last 4.5 years. We've stopped the transfer of terrorist detainees into the U.S. We've banned earmarks and have the most open legislative process that we've seen in modern time. We passed the most pro-life legislation in history. And we've done all this with a Democrat in the White House. Of course, we've got a lot more to do. That's why today we'll pass more reforms to help the nation's veterans. That includes the Hire More Heroes Act, which makes it easier for veterans to find good-paying jobs. And we'll pass a bill to give the VA the authority to fire any bureaucrat who is failing our veterans. We'll continue to pass reforms, but only the president can change the culture over at the VA. Also today, we're going to take up a short-term bill that extend our transportation funding authority. Listen, improving bridges, roads, and our infrastructure is critical to our economy. But we're going to need time for the House committees to do their work, and we expect over the next couple of months, both the House Infrastructure and Transportation Committees and the Ways and Means Committee are going to work diligently to get to a long-term highway bill. Lastly, another area where we continue to make progress is energy. Until recently, our nation's energy policy was rooted in a scarcity mindset that went back to the 1970s. But now, America is experiencing an energy boom, and our policy needs to follow suit. That's why the Energy and Commerce Committee is working on legislation to ensure that we fulfill our energy potential. And Chairman Upton will mark up a bill this fall, and it's a top priority here in the House. By embracing our resources, we'll keep energy prices affordable, help create jobs, and boost our economy. But there's another important energy issue that would provide a big boost to our economy, and that is lifting the ban on exporting crude oil. Lifting the ban would create an estimated 1 million jobs here at home, jobs that would frankly get created in every state. It would help bring down prices at the pump for consumers, and it'll be good for our allies. If the administration wants to lift the ban for Iran, certainly the United States should not be the only country left in the world with such a ban in place. I would support lifting the ban, and I hope that we can work together in a bipartisan fashion to bring our energy policies into this century. With that, your questions. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell have faced some pretty good insurrections from more conservative wings of your party here, regardless of whether these things are deserved or not. Is it the responsibility of you and or the Majority Leader to try to spray some foam on these flames, extinguish these fires because it tears the party apart?
Listen, because America has essentially a two-party system, each of the parties represents a pretty wide, divergent set of views. And as a result, it requires a lot more effort on the part of the leaders to try to work in a unified fashion. We just continue to work at it every day.
So what's that recipe? This seems, you've had, Senator McConnell had the attack by Ted Cruz. You've had this attack by Meadows here. This seems a little different.
You got a member here and a member there who are off the reservation. No big deal. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, there's an accumulation of issues piling up this fall. The long-term highway bill, the spending bills, the debt ceiling, the Iran vote. Do you expect that Congress will be able to glide through this, or how much of a...
Of course, we're going to glide right through it. It's going to be exciting.
How do you expect that the two chambers will get in line, given that they have been on divergent paths on the highway bill, for instance?
Well, that's one bill. Listen, Senator McConnell and I, while we have a disagreement over this bill, or we've had one, we both want to get to a long-term highway bill. And Senator McConnell and I, frankly, worked very closely at trying to minimize the differences. And so I'm confident as we get into this fall, we're going to have a pretty smooth sailing.
In regards to Mr. Meadows' measure, couldn't you kind of put an end to the fall draw by just bringing it up and calling for a vote and demonstrating that you had the support of your conference?
Listen, this is one member, all right? I've got broad support amongst my colleagues. And frankly, it isn't even deserving of a vote. Yes?
Have you spoken with Congressman Meadows?
I have not. Why?
Mr. Speaker, in keeping with what Christina said, you have all these issues that are pressing. in the
We've
fall.
accomplished an awful lot this year, but as I said, we've got a lot more to do.
A lot of the steps you're likely to have to take in order to, say, get President Obama's signature on legislation like appropriations bills or the debt limit or the highway bill, aren't they going to make your right flank unhappy and test you again like you've been tested by this one member?
Listen, we'll manage our way through this. This is part of the legislative process. Frankly, it's nothing new. A little more pronounced these days in 2015 than it would have been 10 or 15 years ago. But listen, it's a legislative environment. And legislating is hard work, as most of you know, because you cover a lot of people who legislate. And we'll take these issues one step at a time and work our way through them. And I'm looking forward to a very successful fall. Have a nice August.